Hi, I'm Arlin Geyer. Today I want to demonstrate a process of converting a photograph from color to black and white using Adobe Lightroom. This photograph shot in RAW mode, you can see from the extension CR2 here, intrigues me because of the relationship of the spiky grasses to the trees in the background. But I don't feel like the color image is really emphasizing that relationship. So I think that in converting it to black and white, I can exaggerate that more and make it more apparent. And particularly because of the difference in color of the spiky grasses with the grass behind them. So my plan is to adjust the colors independently in order to bring out that contrast. So in the develop mode in Lightroom, I'm going to convert this to black and white, and then scroll down here to the HSL, hue, saturation, and lightness adjustment. And in the black and white mix, I'm going to darken the greens. And that immediately brings out that contrast more. And then the next thing I want to do is to fine-tune my exposure. So I'm going to I'm going to turn on my highlight and shadow alerts for clipping and bring up the exposure and click to bring it in and see how my grasses look as I do that, because I don't want to blow them out too much. So I'm thinking somewhere in that area would be good, and then adjust my blacks with the black until I just start to get some clipping, and that's maybe a little bit more than I want. So back that off about to there, and I want to bring out the contrast more though, so I'm going to adjust the contrast setting. And then maybe readjust my exposure. And just up a touch. And check my black clipping, back that off a little bit more. So you can see you have to iterate between these various settings. As you change one thing, it has an effect on other things. So I want the background. I'm going to see if I can darken that green even more. Yeah, I like that better. Maybe about there. But when I do that, I want to see more of the trees. And so what I want to do, I like the bottom here, but I want to bring out more of the trees. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the adjustment brush. And on the adjustment brush, I'm going to start by just changing the exposure to very high and just paint with that and increase my brush size some. 100% flow, and everything else looks fine. And just my purpose right now is just to identify the area I want to do. So this is not where I'm going to end up, obviously. And now for down here, I'm going to decrease the size. I'm using my bracket key to decrease the size of the brush, but I want to make sure that I don't get the grasses down here. So I'm going to hit the space bar and then click, which allows me to zoom in, space bar, and I can move over, and I'm going to use the eraser. This is to erase some of the, I'm using the bracket key to, and basically what I'm doing now is just backing out. I'm using the space bar to move around. I want to just make sure that I don't get any of the foreground stuff here. And spacebar, click. And now I can bring this back. If I click in there and hit the 0 key, right now I haven't made any changes. I've got this area selected. I can do what I want with it. You can see I can make it black, I can make it white, I can make it in the middle. And so what I want to do, though, is increase the contrast in that area, and then increase the brightness. The difference between exposure and brightness is that exposure brings up everything, whereas brightness brings up mostly the lights, but not the white point. So that, in this case, is very nice, because I don't want to blow out my whites. I just want to lighten my lights. And see what the contrast difference is going to be here. And I keep those darks nice and dark. And I like that. And so I am satisfied with that adjustment. I click that. I want to check my shadows again, and I'm satisfied with the amount of clipping I've got there. So one other thing I want to do, though, is in order to keep the eye in, I want to just ever so slightly darken the edges. And so I'm going to use the adjustment brush again, and this time I'm going to darken, and I'll go with 100% flow for the time being, and just around the edges. And of course, that's way overdone. So now I want to bring this back, and basically I want it to be barely noticeable. So I'm going to toggle from here, which is before I did that, to here, and you can see it just slightly brings that back, brings that down so that the edges are not quite as dominant. And the one last thing I want to do is, I'm finished with that adjustment. I don't like this piece of grass sitting right here, so I'm going to zoom in on that, and zoom in on that, bring it over here, and use the spot. Oh, it's right the right size already, so just grab that and like that, and maybe grab the edge of it and pull it up so that it finishes. And so much for that. So I'm finished. We can compare the before and after. Scroll this down, and there's what it looked like before, and there's what it looks like after. So using various controls in Lightroom, and especially the ability to make different colors have different values in the black and white range, I've been able to take a somewhat mediocre color photograph and turn it into a more dynamic black and white one. So thank you. I hope that was interesting and useful to you.